Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com. On this episode of Just Seen It, we review the paranormal horror thriller, The Conjuring.
James Wan, director of Saw and Insidious, conjures up an old-fashioned haunted house tale.
The action drama, Only God Forgives.
He deals drugs, May. Heroin, cocaine.
This is when I was watching this film, I kept saying to myself, are these scenes actually happening right now?
We offer up our favorite foreign classics.
Christus, erlöse mich vor jedem schlechten Gedanken.
This film has the greatest performance by an actress I think that I've seen in probably 10 years.
And we lighten it up with the animated comedy Turbo.
I wish I was fast.
It's a funny film, but I can't help but think that the premise was based off of picking two words out of a hat.
All right here on Just Seen It. A young family is tormented by paranormal activity in their new home. So they seek out real-life ghost hunters to exorcise the demons.
You have a lot of spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful.
But their investigation becomes a terrifying nightmare in The Conjuring.
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, I'm Zoriana.
And I'm Sean, and we're going to talk about the new horror film, The Conjuring. We've all just seen it. Zoriana, why don't you start?
So on the surface, it appears to be like your standard Hollywood horror film, but what amps it up a notch is the fact that it's actually based on a true story encountered by real-life Ghostbusters Ed and Lorraine Warren. And the Warrens are, of course, most famous for the case that they worked on, which became the Amityville Horror. What I loved about this film was that in most horror films, the focus is just on the family that's being terrorized.
Right.
But here, we actually learn an awful lot about the Warrens. We get equal amount of time between the two families.
Well, we've been called ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
I love horror films, and, you know, a door slamming will get me every single time. And this is full of cliches. I mean, there's, you know, whispering and long, dark corridors and people creeping around.
Basements that you're not supposed to go down in.
And pianos tinkling, but every single time it works.
It has this old-fashioned sensibility to it in the best way possible. I mean, nowadays it seems like in order to scare people, we have to hack off limbs every other minute. And this movie really knows that, no, it's about the build-up. It's about the tension. And just because it's been done 1,000 times before, well, it's been done 1,000 times before because it works.
What elevates the quality of this film is the caliber of the cast. We have someone like Vera Farmiga, who's an Oscar nominee. We have Patrick Wilson, very respected actor. And of course, Lily Taylor, who's so underrated and so terrific in this film. Even the kids.
Oh my God. It's standing right behind you.
I think when you get these type of actors who are true thespians and place them in a horror film, it just really takes it up to a whole other level.
Lily Taylor gets the meatiest role here. She goes from this, you know, loving mother to a frightened matriarch to something else, and she really nails it.
Her acting is really incredible when she starts to embody all this stuff. And you could tell that it was not an easy shoot for her. It was probably very difficult during those scenes, but she just nails them and really does a spectacular job.
Because it could have been cheesy and silly, but it's not.
Yes, if anything, she steals the film.
Yeah.
Who's ever down there? I'm gonna lock you in now! Ah!
James Wan's attraction to this project was that it's based on a true story. He made Saw and Insidious, which were fictionalized, but he wanted to do this one. If I have one criticism, it's that I feel that James Wan, the director, is kind of recycling the same things he did with Insidious.
Right.
That was his last picture, and here in this picture, it almost seems like he's making the same picture.
You mean like recycling Patrick Wilson?
Well, he recycles Patrick Wilson, but I mean, it's also, that story is very similar to this one in the fact that you've got a small family. I mean, it's in present day, but they're also being haunted by this spirit or this entity or something. So, and a lot of the scares are done in the exact same way in Insidious, but I enjoyed both movies. It's not necessarily a bad thing that he's doing these things that work.
But this is based on a true story.
Based on a true story.
I do feel like he wants to get to a point where he makes the classic horror film. Because, you know, he is a little bit over the top, let's just say. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of subtlety. But he's better now. Like, Insidious was kind of like slamming you over the head. It totally worked for me. But The Conjuring, you know, there was a lot of silence, and he did kind of do the slow build.
It's not about so much what pops out at you. That's what this film does very well. It's not, you know, all these scares are not just this ominous note on the piano while something comes out of the darkness to grab you. I mean, it really is about what's in the shadows and misdirection, and what maybe over here is actually not over here, it's over here, and they build that up extremely well.
There's very little gore in this film, very little CGI. The scares come from things that are set up and then paid off later. In particular, there's a scene at the beginning, and you think it's done and over with, and lo and behold, something from that scene shows up later in the end, and it really freaks you out. And it's those types of setups and payoffs that really make the film scary.
The Conjuring isn't going to rewrite the modern American horror film, but it gets one thing right. It makes scary movies fun again. And I say see it.
The Conjuring is a great old-fashioned horror film delivered with sophistication and respect for the genre. See it.
The Conjuring is a virtually bloodless, low body count affair that proves suspense is always better than hacking off limbs. See it. Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
A drug smuggler's brother is murdered in Bangkok. His domineering mother insists he hunt down the killer.
If the tables were turned, your brother would have found your killer and brought me his head on a platter.
But in his quest for revenge, he finds his own life in danger in Only God Forgives.
Hi, I'm Sasha.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Aaron, and today we're here to talk about the newest film from director Nicholas Winding Refn, Only God Forgives. We've all just seen it. Kevin, talk to me.
I'm going to tell you what it's about.
You are?
Right.
You can tell me?
I'm going to try. Guy kills somebody, the brother of the guy's there and doesn't say a lot, and then the mom comes and says, get revenge on your brother's death, and that's it.
Here's the biggest problem with the movie right off the bat. It's the script. We don't really know what's going on. We don't know what's real and what's not. Yes, our main character is Julian, played by Ryan Gosling, and when his brother is killed, his mom comes to Thailand and basically says, you gotta get revenge on the people who killed your brother. And then from then on, it just kind of meanders.
There's a lot to be said that's good in this film. I mean, the cinematography and the music, but I didn't care about one person in this film.
Well, and supposedly there was a script, and even the script was really bad from people that I know who've read it, but there's no actual dialogue. It's just descriptions of scenes that, like you said, are beautifully shot. The whole thing to me felt like a really messed up peyote trip, acid dream, fever dream.
And he wants to share it with everybody, and we're like, really? You know what? I'm an adult.
Parts of it are super cool. I mean, you've got a lot of scenes that we're not sure if they're happening or not, if they're real. We do have one small little through line throughout the movie. Crystal, who is Julian's mother, pretty much provides us with all of the plot that we'll ever get in the movie. And if you learn anything about anybody, it's from her. So thank God that he actually did something. But yeah, I mean, what was he doing? I just don't understand, like, how you can make a movie with such a flimsy script. I mean, Drive was flimsy, but at least there was just something so fascinating about everything that had to do with the production. And if there's any saving grace to this movie, I think that's what it is. It's all the production values, it's the experience of watching this film.
Here's the thing, Kristen Scott Thomas is fantastic.
Yes.
She's hilarious, she's interesting.
She's the
I really
film.
liked her. They should have made her the central character, and actually, it should have been a movie about her and how she manipulated her kids. It should have been something interesting.
What I wanted was
Right.
Jackie Weaver in Animal
Right.
Kingdom.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I kept waiting for her to do. What she needed was a vocal coach to make that American accent actually believable, because that was a mess. That was a
But she still was kind of hilarious and funny and interesting, but maybe it's because nobody else talked and she's the only one who talked that I was finally like, thank God there's
Thank goodness.
something going on.
I liked her. I think that, like I said before, if there's a saving grace of this film, it's her. She has poise, she has mystery, she's funny, she's offbeat. I think it's a great performance all around.
I apologize for my behavior. It's just that I'm a little upset. I have lost my first son.
The actor who plays our villain, Chang, he says maybe 3 or 4 lines in the entire
Words.
film.
Because he sings plenty.
He says words.
I thought he was
one note.
totally blank and one
That's what he's
note.
supposed to be.
He was like
crazy.
Michael Myers, but Thai.
There was nobody in this movie where I felt like there was believability. I thought they all looked like deer caught in the headlights.
I don't agree with that. I think that he knew what he was doing. I mean, Refn certainly had a vision of how he wanted this character of Julian to be, and I think that with what he's given, Ryan Gosling does a great job. I believe that he is this person. I just had no way of connecting with him whatsoever because of the way he was written.
I feel like he's been the same person for the past 3 movies.
Films can't be judged based solely on whether or not their script works. It's a visual medium. You've got other things at play, and this is a very visual movie. The cinematography is unbelievable.
Oh,
These
yeah.
neon colors
Sure.
are great. It's only a huge disappointment because of a debilitating lack of story. It's not because the production was not strong.
The production is great, but you can't make a movie. I mean, that's photography.
Right.
What he
Make a
did
silent
was
film.
Terrence
most-
Malick makes movies that have no through lines
And
at
I
all.
Yes,
hate
but they
Terrence
do.
Malick.
But I disagree because I think there are stories there.
And there have been plenty of films that just show beautiful nature footage that are good films.
Because they're on National Geographic.
And they also have a through line. Like, at least you watch the zebra and then you see the lion and the lion attacks the zebra and you get some finality. You cannot make a movie that is all style over substance, and that's what this is.
But what she's saying is we're talking about all these beautiful images that mean nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. So I'm looking at it going, okay, but give me something.
It was his way of saying, I don't have to be successful. I don't need you to understand or get my movie because I'm so artistic that I'm gonna make something that only I can appreciate. I think that's what he did.
This film is a real letdown, and perhaps it was because expectations were so high based on Drive. Regardless, it's worth a watch at home, so I say stream it.
Refn should take a clue from his title, because I certainly don't. Skip it.
Only God Forgives is a waste of the talents of every single person involved. It was a waste of my time. It is relentlessly violent and oppressively artsy. Skip it.
Well, our votes add up to half a ticket, so that is a skip it for Only God Forgives. Thank God.
I can forgive, but I will never forget.
Our DVD pick of the week is one of our favorite summer comedies, the raunchy and hilarious Caddyshack.
Let's go while we're young.
Mind, sir? Trying to tee off?
I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slice.
Okay, you can owe me.
Released in 1980, Caddyshack has an all-star comedy cast with Chevy Chase, Ted Knight, the manic Rodney Dangerfield, and Bill Murray in his indelible role as groundskeeper Carl Spackler.
Great big gobs of greasy grinding gopher guts. How about a nice cool drink? Varmints, scum, slime, menace to the golfing industry. You're a disgrace.
But don't stop at Caddyshack. Have a summer comedy marathon with Meatballs, Wet Hot American Summer, American Graffiti, and Dazed and Confused. So there you have it, a whole gaggle, that's right, I said gaggle, of great summer comedies to cool off with for your home theater entertainment. Enjoy.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Leah.
Hola, me llamo Rachel.
Ich heiße Kevin. And we are here today, clearly, to talk about foreign films. So what are everybody's picks?
My pick was Like Water for Chocolate.
And that's from?
That's from Mexico.
Mine is Requiem, which is from Germany.
And mine is Rififi, which is from France. So Rififi is 1955. It's directed by an American director named Jules Dassin, who, very interesting story, he had to leave the United States in the early 50s due to McCarthyism. Got to France, tried to get several different projects started, and he basically had to kind of beg for this gig. It was already set up with another director.
Oh, really?
And Rififi is a noir-esque gangster film and is about Tony, who is approached by one of his buddies, one of his burglar buddies, for one big heist. It's gritty, it's in black and white, it has femme fatale. Tony! And so it does speak to all of those kind of noir elements. And this film is probably most well known for the best heist sequence that happens in the middle of the film. What makes this all so particularly sweet is that Jules Dassin went on to win Best Director at Cannes. It's just a favorite. It's right there with Asphalt Jungle, The Killers, Night in the City. If you like those noir-esque gangster films from that period, then you will fall in love with Rififi.
So Like Water for Chocolate is based off of the novel by Laura Esquivel, and she also did the adaptation to the screenplay. And her novel was a bestseller in Mexico for 3 years running. And her husband at the time is the director of this film, Alfonso Arau. So it's sort of a husband-wife team. This movie's a very tactile film. It's shot by Emmanuel Lubezki, who did all of the Terrence Malick films later on. And it's just gorgeous. You know, you're watching these people chop up this food, and the culture and the smells and the texture of everything just bubbles off the screen. It's amazing. You have to have something to eat while you watch this film. I think that's very important. The whole plot is that Tita is not allowed to marry. She is the youngest of 3 daughters, and she is supposed to go through life and take care of their aging mother,
Right.
so she can't marry. She falls in love with this very good-looking fellow named Pedro, and Pedro, in order to be near her, ends up marrying her sister, which seems like just the worst idea possible. They all live in the same house. Things get really difficult, and then Tita starts cooking. And when she cooks, she puts her emotion unknowingly into her food.
Si Dios quiere. Sí. Suelta tus lágrimas, mi niño. Porque mañana no quiero que nadie te vea llorar. Y mucho menos Rosaura.
This is just a very well-constructed film, and I think that's partly because the novel was written by the same person who then adapted it, so maybe that's why it works so well, but it's very well done.
My selection is called Requiem. It's made in 2006 by Hans Christian Schmidt. It's a German film. It's the true story of Anneliese Michel. Now, Anneliese Michel was a girl who was 23 in Germany in the 70s who thought she was possessed, so they did an exorcism and she died during the exorcism. It's a true story. That was the basis for the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Okay.
So it's kind of going back to the original story, fictionalizing it, but basing it on that particular incident. But what it is it's not a horror movie. It's really a drama and a psychological study of this girl who really does believe she's possessed because they can't figure out what's wrong with her.
Heiliger Geist, komme in mein Herz. Durch deine Macht ziehe es an dich und gewähre mir Gottes Liebe und Gottes Furcht. Christus, erlöse mich vor jedem schlechten Gedanken, auf dass mir alles leicht erscheinen möge. Heiliger Vater und lieber Herr, hilf mir bei all meinen Aufgaben.
It's really about everybody failing her and her trying to deal with this while trying to go to school to prove herself to her mom that she can handle school while dealing with these problems. And you don't really know, is she epileptic or is it something worse? Because it does get a little bit intense towards the end.
Does it seem, so it seems like she could actually, like the
Right,
possession
because
thing is a
her
possibility.
personality changes. And which brings me to my point. And the reason I chose this movie is because Sandra Huller, who plays Michaela, it's one of the best performances I've seen probably the last 10 years. She won a bunch of awards. She was nominated for like 9 awards, won 6 of them, mostly in Germany. It just never really became a hit here. It was released by IFC. If you look at the DVD box, you know, she has a red eye and it's all like evil is within her. And it's not that type of movie at all. It's very documentary-like the way it's filmed. It's handheld. It's very low budget. But her performance, actually everybody's performance is great, but it's so compelling. 89 minutes long, but you can't help but just be riveted by like what is wrong with her and what's going on with her.
Rififi is an older film, 1955 noir gangster film that is just gritty. It's a film that should be included in every gangster film fan's library.
Like Water for Chocolate is a really beautifully well-shot film. It's a very different take on what a romantic film can be.
Requiem is a really compelling look at the possibility of possession and also how the system can really fail people.
Cheers!
We're going to Leah's house. We're going to watch them all.
We're going to watch them all.
Turbo is your average garden snail.
Let's go, people! Pick it up!
But a freak accident gives him the ability to move at lightning speed.
Slow down for a second! Are you kidding? I'm never going slow again!
So he decides to pursue his greatest dream by racing in the Indy 500 in Turbo.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Liz. Today we're here to talk about DreamWorks' new animated film, Turbo. We've all just seen it. Aaron, why don't you start us off?
Look, it's a light, fun kids movie. It's an interesting story. It's nothing out of this world amazing, but it's enjoyable.
It's a kids' film that hundreds and thousands of people devoted several years to, and I think that the premise should be up to snuff. And the premise is not up to snuff for me because it's about a snail who turns into a car, and that doesn't make any sense.
I found it cute. I found it mildly entertaining. I didn't have a problem with the premise. The snail gets powers, he can race really fast, and then that's basically the rest of the movie. The movie doesn't really go anywhere. There's no moment where he's like, with great power comes great responsibility. He gets the powers, he goes to the Indy 500, predictable results ensue.
There's no real antagonist. I mean, there's an antagonist, yes. In traditional story structure, there's an antagonist. I'm a snail, I want to be fast. Oh, my brother doesn't really want me to be fast, but I'm gonna prevail.
But it's all external. There's no internal forces going on, which some better children's films do. I mean, it's not like we can just say, oh, well, they only do that in the adult films. No,
they do.
Children's films do have characters that are interesting and actually, digest things and think about things.
There's great children's films out there,
Sure.
even right now.
There's just nothing super complicated or unique about the way this story is told.
Right.
And the third act's, fun.
Are you crazy? Ow!
Yeah, I'm crazy. What made you think I was sane?
I don't know how to... Ow!
Are you a car?
No.
Are you a car?
No!
Then stop driving like one.
The children will be fine with it. They'll just be like, oh, this is really fun. I think the adults will go and they'll go, oh, okay, I was fine with that, but it doesn't have any real substance. It's kind of just a light, fluffy film that you can just sort of forget about afterwards. It doesn't really stay with you.
But do you know what is good about the film? Michael Peña's in it.
Michael Peña is in this
There
film,
are a
yes.
ton of actors and actresses who lend their voice to this film. Michael Peña is one of them. Luis Guzman, Bill Hader, Maya Rudolph, Samuel L. Jackson, Snoop Dogg, Ken Jeong, Richard Jenkins, Michelle Rodriguez, Paul
It's
Giamatti.
a nice multicultural cast,
Yeah,
actually.
there's tons of different people. They cover a very wide range of actors and actresses. But really the problem is that they're all just being themselves. They're all using their own voices.
I'm Whiplash. This here is my crew.
I'm Skid Mark. Oh, yeah.
And I'm Burn. Sizzle, sizzle,
The name is Smooth Move. I set the tone around here, you dig? Now check this. Right about now, I'm moving so fast, the whole world's going in slow motion, baby.
Well, even Ryan Reynolds, who plays Theo/Turbo, he changes his name when he gets really fast because we all would. It's Ryan Reynolds' voice coming out of a snail.
But what's this? Out of nowhere, a dark horse is challenging Gagne, and it looks like the winner is Turbo!
I just felt like I could see a development exec just like throw a dart on a dartboard and hit a snail and then think, what's the opposite of a snail? Oh, a race car. And it just feels very...
Let's make a snail like Snoop Dogg. David Soren is the director of this film. This is his first feature film. He's worked in the animation departments of other films before, like Shrek.
He's directed the Little Madagascar short films.
Yes. Everything is shown to us in a very easy to digest way. We see the world, it's very pretty, the animation is great, the 3D is fun. He has no problems as a director. I think it's just nothing super new and exciting.
I was like, oh, it's a kid's movie. I should forgive it for, the fact that it doesn't really
make sense.
Makes sense.
It
doesn't
makes.
Well,
does it make sense?
I mean, it's a kid's movie again, but it's like Snails aren't really like that. Snail anatomy's not really like that. It's like
snail heart doesn't look like a
snail
human
heart doesn't look like that. And what I'm saying is, I see that and I go, that's okay. It's a kids movie. But then I see one more thing like that, and one more thing like that, and where I'm trying to sort of forgive the picture, and it just kind of piles up one too many.
But it's like The Croods a little bit, where it did like the half science approach, where it's like these snails are breaking down tomatoes, and it's talking about snail anatomy to a small degree, but then it gets to have its cake and eat it too, because all these weird magical things happen.
I think that a movie like Toy Story makes you believe it more.
Of course,
and
of
you
course.
don't find yourself trying to go,
I
oh,
am not
well, it's
disagreeing.
okay,
Yeah.
it's a kid's movie.
It's just a kid's movie.
I know.
It is. Everything is more than just a kid's movie at this stage.
Turbo is fun, but it's nothing spectacular. The children will certainly enjoy it, so if you're looking for another family film, go see it.
Turbo has a lot of funny jokes. However, it is paint by numbers, and there's better family films out there. So I say, stream it.
Turbo's fine for the kids, but the adults will look for a little more emotion and heart in their animated features. Stream it.
Well, it looks like our votes add up to 2 full tickets, which is a stream it for Turbo. Cheers!
Cheers!
Nailed it!
It's summer, and the sequels are coming fast and furious. So next week, we're going to review Grown Ups 2, Red 2, and something that's definitely not a sequel, the new Netflix series, Orange is the New Black. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
Do the Gopher dance one more time.
I'm alright. Nobody worry about me. Try not to give me a sign. No, you just let me be. Who do you want?
Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com.